Marrying my wife, Tracy. Now, that was a wise move. Um, that's the icebreaker question for you today to get you started. What's one of the best decisions that you've ever made, and why was it a good decision? What is one of the best decisions you've ever made, and why was it a good decision? Talk about that, and we'll get to the Bible study when you're done. One of the reasons that marrying Tracy was a wise decision is that when she was dating, she was looking for somebody to spend her life with. She had as her top priority finding someone uh, who wanted to walk together with God, finding somebody who was a Christ follower, not just somebody who called himself a Christian, but somebody who actually believed it, somebody who actually lived it. Um, and that's because she believed that we should not be unequally yoked. And she believed that someone who follows Christ lives a different kind of a life. And she's right. When we follow Christ, when we listen to his teachings, when we build our lives on his words, we do live different lives than the lives of those in the rest of the world. And so I'm grateful that she saw that, at least enough of that in me, so that when I asked her to marry me, she said yes. As you read through this first set of passages, I chose a chunk of passages that really all of the ones that I have here are from the book of John, but you're going to find Jesus teaching this throughout all four of the Gospels, that what Jesus offers us is life. He uses the term eternal life. He also talks about an abundant or a life that is a life to the full. And so I want you to read those passages. You can read it in your own translation if you prefer to do that. And then talk about that a little bit. What kind of life does Jesus offer? Don't just use those words, eternal life and abundant life, but talk about what that looks like. What does that mean? What's your experience in that? If maybe you're somebody who has accepted Jesus as your Lord, and so you have experienced a taste of the kind of life that Jesus offers us. Talk about what that looks like. What does it mean in a practical level to accept the life that Jesus offers us? So read those, talk about that, and you can press play when you're ready to continue with the study. This past weekend, we celebrated really the whole passion of Christ. So we celebrated his having the Last Supper, going to his death, all of the trial and everything he went through to lead up to that. And then we celebrated that on the third day, he rose again, that he was alive after he was dead. And as we looked at that, and that's Easter. And so as we looked at that whole process of him going to the cross, him choosing to die, and then him rising from the dead on the third day, all of this, this particular weekend, is the most significant, the most important piece of Jesus's ministry. Because when he died, he didn't die for himself. He died to pay the price that you and I deserve for our rebellion against God and for our sin. And so when he died to take our place. We know that this is true because he taught it, but we also know that this is true because it is the sign that he offered to prove that what he taught is true. That sign was that on the third day he would rise again. And so as you read the passages that I have there for this second and for this last section, for the second section here, those passages are a sampling of Jesus teaching ahead of time, telling people, predicting for people that he would die, and telling them, predicting for them that he would rise again on the third day. So I'd like for you to read those passages, and I left some of them out. One of them I left out is a pretty popular one, and so I left it for you to talk about. So read those and then talk about any other passages that you can think of where Jesus talks about himself dying and then rising again on the third day, and how that is a sign to us that what he is teaching is from God, that what he was teaching about himself is true. That is the miraculous sign that God offers to us to let us know that Jesus is, in fact, the Christ, the Son of the living God. So read those, talk about any additional passages. I even put a hint in there that might help you to think of one of the other passages, and you can look it up in your own Bible, and then just talk about that. How does his accurate prediction, his prophecy about his resurrection, help us to trust that he is in fact the Christ? How does that help us to trust that his teachings are true? Talk about all that, and you can press play when you're ready to continue. This last passage is just a reminder that we're supposed to pay it forward, if you will. Jesus is paying it forward to us, and we're supposed to pay it forward then to others. He laid down his life as a ransom for many, and now we go and we serve people and we lay down our lives. We're not supposed to do the same part of God's plan. Only Jesus could die for the sins of the world. But we are supposed to do our part of God's plan, and in that way we lay down our lives. We don't live lives that are selfish. We don't live lives that are self-centered or egotistical, but instead we live lives as Christ followers, and when we do that, we serve people. We build people up. We lay down our lives for them so that they might live that abundant life and live life everlasting. That is our calling, our mission, to go and make disciples of all nations, helping them to walk the path of life. And so my encouragement is to read this passage, think about how we can serve people and build them up so that they walk the path of life and experience an abundant life in this life, as well as a eternal life with God in the next. And then serve each other. Take a little bit of time to ask each other what's going on in your life, what you can be doing to build each other up, and pray for one another. Make that a part of your building each other up. Invite God to act in all of our lives so that all of us will experience the life that God has designed us to live. Know that I'm praying for you as well, that you are not alone in this journey, that we are all striving to more and more enjoy the abundant life in this life as we look forward with hope and expectation to the next. God bless.